It's time once again to take a look at some buy low candidates for fantasy baseball. Last week, mainly focused on pitchers, and so let's go hitters this time. Got some big name players on some really good teams that you might be able to get on the cheap. And before I start and give you those names, first of all, apologies to those who expected to beat the breakout this week. I am on location, but neither rain nor snow nor sleet nor vacation can stop me from putting out any content. So you're going to get buy low, you're going to get waiver wire, and then we'll get back to our routine. And by the way, I also want to say I got a chance to see the Mets in Citi Field, which was a great night to go. Man, that team is legit. So I'm going to say you're not going to see any buy lows here on that squad because, man, they are sailing and they are legit. I can tell you that. Even the bottom of the order was driving in runs. So I don't know what to say. That Mets team is looking like a serious contender. They were just teeing off on Eddie Rodriguez like it was batting practice. And in related news, yeah, I think Eduardo Rodriguez is toast. Now, a team that's absolutely not flying high is the Baltimore Orioles, somehow dead last in the AL East. And this is a team we thought could be a legit contender. Of course, there's still a lot of season left, but the offense is surprisingly some of the main issue here. And that includes Gunnar Henderson, their all-star, their everything shortstop and first-round fantasy pick, top 5 pick in a lot of leagues. He just cracked his 3rd home run of the season. That's it, and only 5 RBIs to go with those 3 steals. Batting average is a drag so far. We're looking at 227 and a 29% strikeout rate. Now, we do know that he started the season injured. It was not a long stint, but coming back slowly, and we figure, okay, we're getting to be in May now. Let's get it going. You know, that we don't think that there's any lingering issues as far as the injury itself, but maybe the lack of a running start heading to the season and maybe, you know, just not getting his timing right is playing a part here. I mean, you could look to the fact that he is 3rd in average exit velocity overall. That's an important stat. Henderson is one of the best young players in the game. There's no reason he should continue to do this all season long. Let's chalk it up to, again, slow start to the season. He should be better. No reason to panic on him. I mean, he's a 5-category stud. So if you're looking to get Henderson, as you should be, I would say there's a couple things you could do. I'm all right doing something where, you know, let's say you give up your 2nd round pick to get Gunnar Henderson, who should be a 1st round pick, a guy who I just don't think is going to get quite to the ceiling. We've seen him 1-for-1 for Julio Rodriguez, Pete Alonso. That feels fair, right? Those guys are doing better than him, but in the end should be pretty close. I also seen Kyle Finnegan traded straight up for Gunnar Henderson. What are you doing, whoever gave up Henderson for a closer? I don't care who the closer is. That's ridiculous. So fair trade, you can give up somebody who is a high upside 5-category type of contributor like James Wood, who is up to a pretty solid start, but I still don't think is quite there at the level of Gunnar Henderson. Or if you want to try to be a little more, I guess, opportunistic is the right word, and really buy low, try Alex Bregman, right? 3rd base. He's off to a pretty good start, but you know he's not going to get you any steals. And, you know, in the end, even the power numbers, I don't see Bregman hitting more home runs than Gunnar. So let's try one of those players. And then I didn't think I would even at any point have to talk about Yordan Alvarez as a buy low. I really have been trying to hold off on this because there's nothing to do here. People ask me, what do I do with Yordan Alvarez? Nothing. You keep him in your lineup. You just wait, and that is it. But if you don't have Yordan, all right, maybe go and see exactly how desperate the Yordan Alvarez owner is, because I've got questions about it. Like, is this guy going to turn it around? Why wouldn't he? Now, he does have 18 RBIs so far this season, but everything else is subpar, and we're not used to that. But the StatCast numbers show exactly what you should already know. He is still a stud. He's not the type of player that's going to get you 0 for 4, 3 straight games with 3 strikeouts. He does not do that. In fact, his plate discipline is impeccable as ever. A 2.6 K minus BB rate. And I talked about average EV with Gunnar. All right, well, his isn't quite that high, but he's still in the top 20. And his bat speed is still among the best in the majors. 98th percentile. Now, bat speed in and of itself isn't a telling stat, but it shows you that he hasn't lost anything. There is no physical limitation here, and that's the key thing with Yordan. He does tend to get banged up, you know, that big frame, and he swings so hard sometimes his body will betray him temporarily, but it doesn't seem like that's the case here. The Astros got off to a really cold start, and Yordan is one of them. I don't see any reason why he won't turn around big time. I mean, I would, again, be willing to give up any player that isn't in the top 20 that you drafted, anything beyond that, it's basically a buy low for him. I think a fair trade that you could offer right now is Teoscar Hernandez, still pretty highly drafted player who is producing, get you a similar type of profile. And I think an even better offer, though, would be a guy like Tyler Soderstrom. I like Soderstrom. I believe in the breakout, but come on. I am not in any way going to even consider that he's going to have a Yordan Alvarez type of season. Give me Yordan 10 times out of 10. All right, getting a little farther down the list here now. Still highly drafted, but Brenton Doyle has become massively disappointing, especially as of late. Hitless in his last 5 games. Now we're talking about 20 plus at-bats where he's still searching for a hit. Looks like Doyle does not rule. Now what's going on here with Doyle is he missed a few days due to a personal leave. It was a bereavement situation. And he had been kind of nagged by a quad issue, didn't land him an IL, nothing serious, right? So it seems like he's healthy, he is back, he is just not really back mentally. It's fair to question his batting average because that's not the calling card here. I mean, he gets you power, speed, and the counting stats from being high up in that order. But look, I do think it's reasonable to wonder whether we're seeing an elite fantasy player here because it just so happens now the Rockies, they're looking like this year's White Sox, and that's not even a stretch. They are 4-24. They're on pace to be just as bad as last year's historically bad White Sox team. It doesn't matter the record, it matters what does he do for fantasy, but you cannot be a productive player if the rest of your lineup around you does nothing. Ryan McMahon, what happened to that guy? I mean, the rest of the lineup, it's nice to see all these young players and these rookies getting a chance, but along with that comes the struggles, the inconsistency, and that affects everybody. So in all, I can't be as high on Doyle as I was before the season, but this is a great window to buy low because he is not this bad and he will give you help in most categories. I think the batting average, I mean, obviously it's going to go up from what it is now, but I mean, look, even if it's 250s, 260s, that is fine for a guy with 2020 upside. The type of player you should be trying to offer up to get Doyle, well, I will go with Cedric Mullins still. The season-long stats look great. He was red hot the first couple of weeks. And look, apparently he's still got something in the tank, but I'm not going to think that he's going to outproduce Doyle going forward. And if you want to be a little more aggressive, look, I still like Doyle better than Lawrence Butler. And Butler is very similar to Doyle, but again, I feel like Doyle is going to be on the upswing from here on out. And Butler, I mean, unless he gets crazy hot like he did last season, I don't think he'll outproduce Doyle. Another young player with all the talent in the world who hasn't quite shown it yet is Matt McLain. Now, a lot of people should be excited for Matt McLain this year to finally be back and healthy. And he's been mostly healthy. It was a brief IL stint, but he's been playing. The Reds all of a sudden have got an offense, but somehow he is not part of it. We're talking a 162 batting average after his latest cold streak. Now, he does have 4 homers, 4 steals, and most importantly, 14 runs. That's the category he is really going to help you in the most. But the batting average has got to get better if you're going to be rostering this guy. So there is some promise here beneath the hood. If you look at the StatCast numbers, you got an 89th percentile hard hit rate, a 92nd barrel rate. The strikeout rate and the plate discipline is not there. That's the issue. This is why he's not getting hits, because he's striking out too much. 32.6% K rate. That's in the 5th percentile. Now, I did mention this preseason. It is an area of concern. People expecting him to build upon his 2023 season. But he did have a 20.5% K rate that season. These issues aren't going away, right? He is still going to strike out a fair amount. And the batting average, I don't think will be great. You're going to have to offset that by knowing that he's going to help you with the homers and the steals. So let's see what we can do in terms of buying low, giving up a player who isn't going to be that much better. So I will say this, still, you're going to sell high Tommy Edman. I mean, come on. Look, the guy is absolutely having a career season and not taking anything away from him. We know he is proven, but I'm not going to say that he's going to continue mashing. This is not a 30 home run type of hitter. So I'll still take a chance on McLain. And if you can get McLain for Nico Hoerner, I would do it. Hoerner helps you really in one category, mainly, and that's the steals and to some extent runs. Look, McLain will score as many runs, if not more, and also will help you with some steals, but also actual power. Hoerner is a liability in both the home run and RBI categories. I'm going to put this in the buy low, even though in some leagues you could just go out and pick up Tristan Casas. I wasn't sure whether he warranted being a buy low. I have now found out that maybe there's a reason why he struggled early and have suddenly seemed to have turned it around. I don't want to take a couple of games out of context and say, well, he's back, this is it. Look, there's a reason why, first of all, he was let's just face it, horrific to start the season. But just in the past week, he's got that batting average up from 158 to 185. Yeah, look, I'm not trying to sugarcoat, that's still bad, but it's getting there. He had a 2-hit game. He's gotten a hit in 4 of the last 5 games and 2 homers and 7 RBIs. Why should we buy into this? Well, I'll tell you what. Casas, as I discovered, is a guy who is constantly tinkering with his swing. Take that for what it is, better or for worse. There's some pros and there's some cons, but before the season, he made a conscientious effort in order to try to, I guess, broaden the zone with his swing. About a week ago, right before he started hitting again, talked to hitting coach in Boston and decided that he should have his hands farther away from the body. He said, and I quote, "An adjustment was necessary. I felt like I was getting to a good spot timing-wise and still missing the ball." Yeah, we know that. So might have just been the way my barrel was entering the zone. I've got really long arms, long levers, so maybe trying to stay so tight to my body isn't such a good thing. He was doing the smart thing, which all hitters want to try to do, cut down on his strikeout rate and really try to keep that swing compact and just where he wanted to go in the zone, but it didn't work, all right? So tweak was made. It seems to be paying off. Look, right now you can get Casas off the waiver wire in some leagues, but if not, probably dirt cheap before people actually realize that maybe he's back. I'd be willing to swap out a Yankee for that Red Sox. Paul Goldschmidt, had some concerns before the season. Hey, he's off to a good start in the average department, but the power is just not there, and I don't think it's coming back. And so Goldie is still useful, but the ceiling is higher for Casas. Or maybe one of those stopgap kind of first base options who's been decent, like Michael Busch. Yeah, he's fine, but come on. Let's chase the higher upside here. I like Casas. All right, go ahead and try to buy low on some of those players. And don't forget to catch the waiver wire video coming out at the end of this week and all the other content we have all the time to help you win.